Will Gabriel start? Is it time to sell Erling Haaland? And should we all be banking our transfers for the future? Let's take a look at how I could line up ahead of that Gameweek 10 deadline. Straight away, we're going to answer one of the questions I mentioned in the intro. Will Gabriel start? And for me, he's on my bench currently in FPL. And we're going to sort of talk about the situation of Gabriel just now to start the video, because we have had some good news about Gabriel. In all honesty, it's all positive stuff we've had through quotes from Arteta and other sources of information such as this one here. Positive news for Arsenal, as Gabriel scans have shown no significant damage to any ligaments. There is still some swelling around his knee though, but for me, I'm just a little bit unsure whether he's going to be risked for this Newcastle game. With the swelling he's got, I don't know if he's going to be sort of okay for the weekend. He's going to be on the bench. He's not going to be in the squad at all. I really don't know right now. If I was to guess right now, if he was to play at the weekend, I'll probably say yes, he will start. In that case, I would swap out maybe Rico Lewis or Robinson in this squad, but I'm just unsure at the moment. I want a little bit more information to make my decision, so he is on the bench currently, but I can definitely see him playing for me in the weekend. Another kind of issue with my squad this week as well is Rico Lewis. It's a bit of an odd one because he's played 90 minutes midweek against Spurs. Okay. Does that mean at the weekend he's not going to be playing or starting at least against Bournemouth away? It's too tough to call for me. I'm hoping we get some form of news around sort of Rico Lewis's fitness and whether he's, whether he can be playing midweek and the weekend 90 minutes. He has been doing that sort of with Champions League and stuff, so I can absolutely see him playing, but yeah, it's sort of a tough one to call because playing 90 against Spurs isn't exactly easy work, and especially in a sort of weaker Manchester City side when you're going to have to be doing a lot more work on your feet, obviously not holding the ball as much against that Spurs side. So, yeah, a little bit of an issue there, but I'm sure we can manage that before the deadline. Robinson with the Brentford at home fixture in the middle here. It's sort of a fixture that I don't mind playing Robinson, but I'm not expecting a clean sheet whatsoever. It's more the case of, can he get me attack and returns? Can he, keep up that sort of, high press on that left-hand side and offer some availability on the wing? I'm hoping so, because, he's got 2 assists so far this season. It's not, world-beaten or anything. It's sort of steady away, decent defender in FPL right now. I'm not sure I would own him on a wildcard, but I think the home fixture should help him out. We'll just pray that something happens in this fixture for Robinson that is positive for points. But yeah, like I said, I'm not expecting too much. Trent, on the other hand, I am expecting him to perform over the next at least 3 fixtures. Great fixtures coming up. A lot of people trying to bring in Trent. It was in the back of my mind for the past few weeks to actually sell Trent, but I've really missed the window on selling Trent at the moment. So if I need to sell him, it's going to be at game week 13. I've sort of got to give him the good fixtures. Trent is just a fantastic football player. You've got the likes of Real Madrid looking at Trent, which says it all. He's probably one of the best right backs we've seen in a long, long time. So yeah, I've got to give him these next 3 weeks. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping some attack and returns come into the play, because attack and returns have been a bit sparse for Trent this season. In terms of Raya, I think the Newcastle away fixture for Arsenal as a whole isn't too bad. It's just sort of the defence of Arsenal. Yes, Saliba's probably going to be back. Calafiori's out, I believe. So how is the defence sort of going to look? Is Partey going to go right back again? Which, to be honest, actually worked pretty decent in the last fixture. I'm just a bit unsure of the Arsenal defence, but I'm not going to be playing Ramsdale with Everton at home. I don't think. It could be a possibility, but I don't think I want to do that. But yeah, that is my defence for Game Week 10. Let's move on up to the midfielders now. Here we are with the midfielders now, and I suppose again we'll address the issues in the squad first and then move on to sort of the more solid players in the team. Obviously we can see McNeil there is flagged currently, went down in the Fulham match. and we sort of have no information currently regarding McNeil, whether he'll be available, whether he's out, who knows. And I've sort of, when I'm thinking of who to bring in if McNeil is out, it's sort of very, very thin options. I'm going to sort of share my screen here and show you. On the right-hand side of your screen here, you'll see 5.8 midfielders down. There's only one person I really do like the look of if I want to be making that transfer, and it's Semenyo. Let me bring up his fixtures here. Of course, Game Week 10 isn't a great fixture for Semenyo, but I think onwards from Game Week 10, you're actually looking at a pretty long line of decent fixtures for Semenyo, and obviously people have owned Semenyo in the past, and like me, I've owned him as well. I think he was great when I owned him, and if McNeil is out, I think that's who I would be bringing in place of McNeil. But yeah, I do think McNeil should be okay. But yeah, we'll just wait for information. Rodgers, someone who has pretty difficult fixtures over the next two. Not too impressed by owning him recently. It's sort of hit and miss. I mean, with the price you're paying for the asset, can you expect returns every single week? Probably not. But yeah, good player. I'm hoping he can exploit Spurs a little bit. Of course, Van de Ven has just been injured for Spurs, so of course that weakens them again. So yeah, we'll have to see how Aston Villa deal with Spurs. Of course, Aston Villa have just lost, I believe, against Crystal Palace last night. So an interesting one to be observant of. Brennan Johnson, I've sort of got to give him the next two home fixtures, in my opinion. You've got Aston Villa at home, and I believe it's Ipswich at home. Yeah, Ipswich at home. So, yeah, good fixtures for home. Maybe not so much Aston Villa, but after Ipswich at home, it is City, and I think I'll be moving him on then anyway in Game Week 12, and he'll be one of the people who allow me to open up sort of another premium spot in the midfield. I'm really hoping I can somehow stretch to two premium midfielders in Game Week 12, and sort of that's the reason I want to be banking as many transfers as possible up until 12. I really don't want to be taking too many hits that week. I think the most I want to take in Game Week 12 is a -4. We've got to sort of see how we deal with the next few weeks of FPL before we consider that, though. But banking transfers is going to be the way to go moving forward. Palmer, I think, is just someone who I don't want to be selling for the longest time possible. I would rather own Palmer long term than Haaland right now. I just think you're going to get a little bit more points from the midfielder in Palmer. And it just seems that with De Bruyne out, Haaland just isn't as much as a threat. Of course, we look at the numbers from last week with Haaland, and we understand that it probably was quite unlucky that he only got the one return. But I think Palmer long term is just such a great hold, and yeah, he isn't moving from my squad one bit at all, actually, for this foreseeable future. And Mbeumo, good fixtures for the up-and-coming few as well. Someone who isn't going to be leaving my squad. Fulham away isn't a bad fixture at all. Wissa, of course, back in the Brentford squad will help. It will help, that Brentford attack. So, yeah, I'm really happy with the midfield. It's sort of, in the next few weeks, I need to be thinking of who out of these five is going to be leaving the squad, and sort of in Game Week 12, is it going to be Salah? Is it going to be Saka that joins the team? We've sort of got to figure that out over the next few, but yeah, for this week, not too bad of a midfielder. Moving on up to the final two players in the squad, Ollie Watkins and Erling Haaland. I just want to touch a little bit of analysis I've made on Ollie Watkins in this fixture in particular, because I don't think he's going to exploit the Spurs high line. I think it's more going to be box play that comes into his fixture this week. And we'll sort of see that when we look at the heat map here. Obviously dropping quite deep, picking the ball up, moving it out wide, or sort of holding it up in that central bit. And you can see that with this sort of area of the heat map here. And then the largest, sort of most hot area of the heat map is in and around the box, where he sorts to try to get on the end of low crosses from the likes of Morgan Rogers, or even the fullbacks put some nice crosses into him sometimes as well. So I think box play is going to be the way that Ollie Watkins gets his goals this week, in particular against Spurs. in my opinion. Maybe we see him exploit that high line, but I think the speed of Watkins isn't as great as some of the other Premier League strikers that we see week in, week out. But hopefully Watkins can come away with some attacking returns this week for me. And with the high price tag, you know, he's sort of on the last line in my team in particular, because look, I want to be moving into premium players in the midfield rather than up front. I mentioned a few videos ago that cheap forwards are the meta in FPL right now. You know, you got the likes of Cunha, who's probably the most popular transfer this week for FPL players in terms of forward option. Just be careful that he did miss an open training session and had to sit out. So if you are bringing in Cunha, just keep an eye on that. But yeah, let's move on to Haaland, because the Bournemouth away fixture isn't a bad fixture for Erling Haaland. It's just, I'm paying a lot of money for Erling Haaland here, and he only scored one against newly promoted Southampton, and City as a whole only scored one. You could say and argue that, yes, he was very unlucky in that fixture. You could say he should be coming away with a hat-trick, but until he does so, I'm going to be disappointed, because I'm paying so much money for him. If I can move Erling Haaland away into more premium assets in the midfield, one, I'm going to be getting more points per goal and things in the midfield, because that's just how FPL works. You get more points if midfielders score goals, and sort of you get clean sheet points as well, although clean sheets really aren't frequent in FPL at the moment. But yeah, having sort of a midfield premium setup is how I want to be moving forward. But Erling Haaland just needs to prove me wrong. Go get back-to-back hat-tricks again. Make everyone not want to sell you, bro. But yeah, for now, I'm keeping an eye on Haaland. I'm hoping that the next few weeks he can perform really well, because we are paying a lot for an asset that isn't doing too much and hasn't done a lot over the past 4 weeks in FPL. But yeah, as a whole, to round things up, McNeil could be a transfer out. Gabriel could be a transfer out. There's a lot of things to consider with my team, but banking my transfers for the next few weeks is what I want to be doing, and I'm going to try my very best to not make any transfers before game week 12. But yeah, that is how I could line up for game week 10. To outro every video, I like to give you guys at home a big thank you for supporting the FPL Mogs YouTube channel. Of course, if you have enjoyed today's video, please do consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel for weekly FPL videos and deadline streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.